Good evening, Razorback fans. Welcome to another episode of the Hog Talk podcast presented by FanDuel, live from the Sterling Sober Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are coming to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes, and alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. And on tonight's show, we will talk about Sam Pittman being let go from the University of Arkansas, Bobby Petrino being named interim head coach. And then we will talk about who's next, who we would like to see as potential candidates for the next coaching job or even higher up with athletic director. But Adam, we won't even talk about the game. I mean, the game was just atrocious. We know that's what led to everything going on. But when you heard the news that Pitman had officially been let go, just what was your initial reaction?
I was kind of shocked. Like we knew that it was going to come at some point. It was just a matter of when. In my head, it was going to possibly be, tomorrow morning or around the press conference time or something. But I didn't think it would be today. I thought we would kind of get more rumblings today, some more news throughout the day, kind of leaning towards what was going to happen. And then I also thought to myself, like, if we don't hear about this by Monday, then I took that, or I would have taken that as they're going to ride this thing out.
Yeah.
But, it was done this morning. It was swift. So it's one of those things that it can now, after all this is said and done, it can be behind us, move forward. We can start tracking planes. We can start doing all that.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that after the game yesterday, there was no other answer for what needed to be done.
Exactly. Same. It was one of those situations when, to me, you always try to read the tea leaves and you try to sit there and dissect everything, but you just never know until it is official. But the way he was answering the questions, he seemed very uneasy. And I've been in situations where I've been asked questions and you're just like, you don't know how to answer. And he was talking about possibly. And then, so at that moment, you could have known that, okay, he is sounding like, they have kind of told him, okay, this is over with. And then you hear reports or rumors of, meeting 100-year check meeting with him and his wife after the game. And they were upset and things like that. So you knew it was going to happen. It was just when. Are they going to let it ride out to the end of the year? Are they going to go ahead and pull the trigger now? Think of it with the bye week. I mean, if you're going to do it, this would be the week to do it. So I wasn't shocked that it would happen. I kind of was shocked on how fast we were eating lunch. And all of a sudden it's like everybody just starts rumbling. You can hear it in the restaurant. It's like everybody was waiting for this to happen. And then you see it. And then chaos ensues of now, Bobby Petrino being hired as an interim head coach. And to me, I like the idea of him being the interim head coach. I like that because, I mean, he's been a head coach before. Go ahead and ride this thing out. And the one bright spot of this team has been the offense. Now, second half, not so much. I don't know if this team just kind of gave up, or we can go in the conspiracy theories of, did he just let this go because he has been working the phones per se to get this job? Is this what he's been wanting to do all along? And according to Frank Fletcher, you hear about the things with Fletcher and, Brandon Marcello. And, it's weird how all this played out. But I think, Adam, it was the right move. There is some that they want to let him ride out the season, and I'm really confused on why.
That I don't know. There's been a lot of fans and opinions, and it's kind of like everybody's been teetering back and forth. And I'm not going to say not everybody. You've had the fans that are like, okay, this needs to happen. Okay, this needs to happen. They've been saying that for a while now. And then it's like we got to this point that it's do or die. And you had some kind of backing off of it. And I feel like a lot of folks might have backed off a little bit, like let him ride out the season, let him this, let him that. the only thing I can grasp on it is the fact that we all think a lot of him as a person.
Yeah.
And so it's not wanting things to end, by getting fired or whatever else, just retirement at the end of the season, however they want to word it. But the fact is I don't feel like you gained anything by keeping him throughout the season. And I know that there are some folks too that are in this mindset kind of that it looks bad and I don't get that because we let him have 5.5 seasons. This was the 6th season. This wasn't just something that was abrupt. He had time. It wasn't like that we moved off of a coach after 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
I think that is a worse look than, this midseason. The team yesterday, and I know we're not going to get much into the game, but the team yesterday, I mean, they look like they gave up, which is kind of what we talked about a couple of years ago. What was it, like the Mississippi State game or something, that it just looked like the team had given up.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the vibe I got yesterday. And a lot of fans did too. But outside of the thrashing that they got yesterday, just seeing the crowd exit and then, come fourth quarter time, seeing how empty the stadium was, like that right there was the writing on the wall. And then even Pittman, which I know it was, a terrible game, but seeing the video of him walking off the field and just the defeated, dejected look on his face. Yeah. And then the post game, him talking about that he's mad at himself. He understands why fans are mad at him. It's one of those that all around, it just was done from his standpoint and from Arkansas's as a team and as the fans. Like it was all done.
You bring up a good point, and there was a clip of him talking about that. What really stood out, and I watched it back again, because of course, you hear, oh, I'd be mad at me too. But there was a point halfway through that he said, but, and then I'm like, okay, here we go. The same old, there's no accountability. To me, 6 years in, you're sitting there saying, well, it's partially my fault. I could tell them what to do, but for them, how long does that last? Well, then that tells me right there, you're not fit to be the head coach of a major college university team. If you, in this point, can't get your players to stay locked in, because that's all we see every Saturday morning is locked in. Being locked in is not in the locker room. It is being locked in for 60 minutes in a game. And that was the parting of, okay, this is a reason why he's gone. He doesn't deserve to finish out the year. I don't understand. It's almost like telling you, Adam, you're fired. You're going to train this guy for the next month to take your position, but you can't leave until you get him trained. It's awkward. It's going to happen. And there was a post out that said, Alyssa Orange, what happens next with the program is a fine line between emotion and logic. You can emotionally want to cut ties and move on from Sam. You can logically think through what means for the rest of the team and the rest of the year. Which side is it? You can emotionally keep him too. And I think for those that want to keep him, you said it was emotional. So cut ties, make it logical. Cut ties now. You have a bye week. You get some fresh blood in there, get in there and try to salvage what you can, because if they quit on him now, how do you think if you keep him, one, what does that send a message to your fans, your donors, people that you're going to need money from to bring in a new staff? Mm-hmm. But what does it say about the players? What does it say about the offense? You're watching this atrocious defense out there. What does that say? So I think it was the best thing to do. And I'm sorry, but they put buyouts in there for a reason. Mm-hmm. They can up and leave. Players can up and leave. The emotional connection with college football outside of you rooting for Arkansas or your team, that's where it should stop. The emotional aspect of that has to go away, because you cannot afford to fall behind. How many other coaches are going to be fired between now and the end of the year? How many of them you're going to try to fill? Because Are other jobs better? What's going to happen if Florida job opens up? Where are they going to want to go? So I think now's the best time to do it. You have a bye week, get what you can, let Bobby Petrino, and that's what will lead to next. Bobby Petrino is the interim head coach. Do you think he should become the full-time head coach?
Well, first, before we get into that, I'm just going to address this comment. Just part of this comment that basically, I mean, I'm guessing that this person, like, we're thinking that the players are to blame in this. The players are a direct reflection of the head coach. So if you're, and also we've never played Notre Dame before, so that's why we can never beat them. But it's one of those things that if you can't get your team to a certain point, to a certain level to win games, the players change. The coach is still there. You got to make a change to the coach. Just like we cycled through coordinators a couple times already. But, you know, with Petrino, making him interim is the right move, obviously. When you look at this defense, Travis Williams is in no way, shape, or form ideal to run the entire team. He's got enough to worry about. We'll see what happens with Petrino running things, because I'm going to assume that he will have full control, full say over staffing from here to the end of the season. I'm not 100% on board with keeping Bobby Petrino to be the permanent head coach. I don't feel like the Bobby Petrino now, and this is not a shot at him by any means, but we've seen this change in him since since he's been back here. Definitely, I don't feel like even in his time at Missouri State, his second stint at Louisville, I don't think it's the same Bobby Petrino. I don't see the fire that he once had. Now, yes, when he was at Louisville, the second stint with Lamar Jackson, and then he had a little bit in him, but since he's been back in Arkansas, he has a lot more grace. He has a lot more chill about him. And I'm not saying that it's completely gone. I'm not saying he couldn't be the same coach. I just don't think that he is. And we've seen what Arkansas has done time and time again when we bring back coaches that have been here before in different capacities.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out. I just feel like we need something completely new. And I get that people want somebody that's already established. And I think I'm on that train with those things. I don't think we can risk trying to get it a up and comer that ends up not panning out. And so I feel like you've got to go pay the money to get an established coach. And I think you've got to look at the $9-10 million range for that. Because, you look at Lane Kiffin, he's the 10th highest paid coach in NCAA, and he's sitting at $9 million. So I think that you're going to have to go pay for a coach that is already established. And I think you're going to have to go pay a coach to leave whatever job he is in currently. I don't think it's going to be somebody that's getting fired from their job. I don't think it's a former SEC head coach that's now over in the Mountain West, because, there were Dan Mullen rumblings over the weekend. Don't want that one bit. I don't want Billy Napier. I don't want any of these guys who have failed more in the SEC. So I think you have to go pay for an established head coach.
To me, no disrespect to Bobby. He can run an offense. He's your quarterback whisperer, all that. I don't want him running this thing full term. The state of this program, it needs a full rebuild. And when I say full rebuild, I'm going above that. I think Hunter Yurachek's job's not safe. I don't think just because you cut ties with Pitman, you're not willing to embrace what needs to be embraced to make this program. So to me, if you're going to keep it now, if you're going to keep Hunter Yurachek and you're going to keep these ways, to me, whatever, just let Bobby run the team, because it's not going to matter. It is not going to matter. You have to make a change at the top if you really want to go get a coach and invest the money and bring in staff, because you're going to need a new coach, coordinators, NIL, all that. And if Hunter Yurachek stays, you're not going to ever get that money. He is going to hoard it for the foundation or the field video boards. Everybody's talking about this $3 million wasted on a buyout. Your athletic directors want to put a video board at the daggone baseball stadium. He could have had the raffle, which could have went to NIL to get players. No. Miraculously, in the last day of the raffle, it jumped up $100,000. And half of that goes to where? Is that going to get a new coach? What's that going to get? We don't know. So I don't think his job's safe. And we'll get into that into the second segment. But two things. We're seeing this name right here too. Stop with the Gruden. Please, please. I know this might upset some people, but hear me out, please. Same thing with Bobby Petrino. Same thing with Gruden. You're going to give them a retirement check, and they're not going to turn the program around. Gruden is a 500 coach. He is an NFL coach. He's not coached SEC ball. No, we don't need that, because then we're going to be in the same situation. And guess what? He's not going to care, because in 3 years, you're going to be buying out his contract. It's not going to work. You need somebody like a Dan Lanning. Not saying him specifically, because we think he's set at Oregon, but you're going to have to get somebody like him, up and comer, Rhett Lashley, throw the bag at him. Anybody in that realm, you go get, because you're going to need a head coach and you're going to need two good coordinators to run this thing. Then you get your NIL. You build a program, then the players will come. And if anybody's noticing the QR code, that is a link to our YouTube page. So if you, or for those who want to watch it on YouTube later, go to your YouTube page, click on the QR code. It'll send us over to YouTube. But that's what scares me of the state of this program, how much it needs to be rebuilt. Do you want somebody like Gruden? The name's flashy, but what has he done? He made a TikTok of opening a box of your merch and gets everybody fired up. I don't want him. I don't think it's going to work out, because we're in the now where it's 9 SEC games. Get you a coach that can withstand the NIL transfer portal and a 9-game SEC schedule. And who wants to build a program, put a team together, and get some wins?
Mm-hmm. And I just got a text message from a buddy of mine, and this kind of goes into the Hunter Yurachek thing. And his text just says, I want Hunter Yurachek gone too, but hiring an athletic director after a head coach is not a good recipe. I don't disagree with it, but we're in this boat in situation that, whatever the board of trustees decide is going to happen, that's what's going to happen. With all the names and stuff that's being thrown out there, it's just, I know a lot of it's wish list. I've seen the talks of Dan Lanning at Oregon, and I'm just sitting here like, they're the number 2 team in the country. What are you going to do to entice him to come? He's in Nike's Nike's backyard. Like, not going to happen. But, and I've seen, the Dan Mullen, which I saw in the comments, and I said earlier, like, I don't want some of these guys that have had their failed attempts here in the SEC before. I saw a name that we had talked about over the last couple of years that's been thrown out here and there, but GJ Kinney. And at the same time, I'm like, he was a hot commodity for a year, and I feel like he's kind of fallen off a little bit. Plus, from the PTSD of one Chad Morris, I'm going to say this, is that GJ Kinney hired Chad Morris at one point in time.
Yeah.
Within the last couple of years. So I kind of look at his credibility there for hiring that, throw that out the door. So, and, the Rhett Lashley talk, Springdale guy, backup quarterback at Arkansas. I get he has the ties here. Yeah. We're going to have to throw the bank at him. Mm-hmm. And the thing with that too, is not only you're going to have to throw the bank at him for his contract. So, which we don't know what it is down there because they're a private institution. True. But you're going to have to throw, I would say, $8 to $9 million on the low end, 8 on the low end. But you have to guarantee him NIL, which you haven't been able to do at this point in time.
Yeah. Because
we all know that SMU has more or less unlimited funds when it comes to NIL. So it's going to be, what can you do to get him to walk away from that? Here's the thing with that too, and some need to think on. He hasn't won the ACC. So or are they in the A? What
They won. They
conference?
won the AC. You're talking about Lashley?
Yeah. Did
He,
they win the
I think they
ACC?
won the regular season, and then Clemson beat them
Won.
in
Yeah.
the championship.
So,
Yeah,
but you haven't won the conference
yeah, no.
championship. So why do we think that that's going to do wonders here in the SEC? So that's where I go with, just getting in. And I know some of this you're just going to have to take a risk on.
Yeah,
But the up and comer coaches, because I saw USF's coach name, his name was thrown out there earlier today because of this season. I mean, some of the stuff I just don't quite understand, and it just goes back to, I guess, the hot commodity. But I think you have to go pay for an established coach. You know what? Let me ask you this: if Lane Kiffin wanted $10 million or $10.5 million to come to Arkansas, would you pay it?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and just simple yes or no question.
What is the thing holding everybody back? We talked about this last. What's everybody talking about? His personal whatever. We're giving the guy that rode off into the sunset on the motorcycle another chance. So morals out the window. Okay. And you know what? We've forgiven Bobby. I'm not bringing up saying it's a bad thing, but you can't sit there and Lane had a big chip on his shoulder. I think he finally calmed down. And we talked about that with Stephen Willis when the Ole Miss game. I think he had a big chip on his shoulder and he was very defensive about everything. He was very petty. And that was his main focus, proving everybody he could win, proving everybody wrong. Now he gets to the point to, yes, he's still got his wittiness, but yes, absolutely would take him in a heartbeat because I know what he can do. I know if you had the right amount of money and you're talking about Ole Miss money, you give him Walmart money or Arkansas money. Absolutely would. But I don't know if he would come. I don't know. But I would definitely pay for him. I want to address this comment, though, because this is the big thing right here. Fire the AD for one program. That's stupid. No disrespect to the basketball program, baseball program. I'm talking from a financial standpoint. Football is your program in the SEC. Honey Yurachek does not get that. The SEC, your football program pays for how many of these other programs that are doing well. Because if you want to go look at the financials in NIL of these other programs, where's their funding coming from? You have to be successful in the SEC in football for everything else to fall into place. So this right here that's saying that's stupid, the only program lacking is football. You know what? That's 85% of your program. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Remember back in 21 when Arkansas beat Texas and then the basketball program did their thing, then the baseball, how electric it was. You have to put your football program first. We could say we're a basketball school. We could say we're a football school or a baseball school. But when it comes to the money, you need people not walking out at halftime in a Notre Dame game to get things rolling. So I understand that you're looking at one program. Well, how can you do this? I'm sorry, but he doesn't have a name for his stadium. He's said multiple times he wants the big donors for him or the foundation. He does not want to embrace NIL. He had nothing. Well, I guess he can put a little bit on him about the basketball, but for the most part, he had nothing to do with the basketball. That was Don Tyson and Cal. So we're in a situation where, yes, if he's not willing to change with the times, look what Saban did. He didn't want to adjust to the times, so he got out of college football coaching. You're seeing the same thing at Clemson. Dabo does not want to embrace the NIL, does not want to embrace the transfer portal. You go from an elite program, now you're back to maybe even winning a bowl game this year. But that's how quick things can happen. Guys, 5-10 years ago, we could sit there and say it take 5, 6, 7 years to build a football program. We're seeing football programs being built in 2 to 3 years now. Look at Vandy. Mississippi State's bouncing back. We're seeing Indiana, Illinois. Brett Bielema has got the thing rolling up there again. It don't take that long anymore. But you got to find the perfect situation where your head coach, your coordinators, because, to be honest, we can, if you want to play the what if game, if we would have had a competent defense or a defensive coordinator or talent, we could go financials. You paid for half a team. your other half was just a sacrificial lamb. There was no defense. You could have had a good football team this year. But also, when your head coach and your AD thinks revenue sharing is going to be the saving grace, they are delusional. We have talked to Chris Phillips. We've talked to the Notre Dame, Tim O'Malley. We talked to Stephen Willis. Everybody said Arkansas is delusional if you think that the rev share is going to be your saving grace. So I was kind of going on a little rant while your technical difficulties. So, we're
Things
back
happen.
on. We hadn't went to another topic, but I was pretty much just going off of the AD thing. And it's just, then I went into not embracing NIL. How many other programs are failing because they don't want to embrace the NIL? And then I went into the delusion of rev share. So that's where we're at. Got you caught up.
We've just gone for full circle here.
Yeah. So, but anyways, it is, but that's the thing. We're about to take a quick commercial break, but then we'll talk about who's next. We'll get ideas, legitimate ideas, but I think you have to, in the essence of nostalgia, let him come in, do his thing. Now, unless he reels off 5-6 wins and shocks, like he gets the both sides of the ball pumped up and they play like a full team, you got to give him a look. If he changes the program around with the circumstances, you got to give him a look. Mm-hmm. But if I'm looking 2-3 years down the road, and we don't know how much this is going to change, you got to bring somebody that's going to be here for the next 4, 5, 6 years at least.
Mm-hmm. I mean, kind of like we talked about before the show, it's one of those that Petrino would be. I mean, it would be a retirement check for him. Mm-hmm. It's going to be something that essentially, I mean, here we're going to be in the same boat in 3 to 5 years. So, it's one of those things, unless you're going to get Nick Saban out of retirement, I think you need to look at a coach for the long run. Get somebody that wants to be here for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I know that's crazy to think, but, it's one of those things that since 2012, I mean, it's been abysmal in the state of Arkansas in football outside of a couple of.
It's crazy because you thought they were set up to be in the best position since 2012. I mean, that's what we heard, but I'm sure tomorrow morning is going to be delightful on the radio station. So Sunshine Radio 95.3. So if you want to.
Before we go to break, here's a quick reminder of 2012.
Yes. This will not sit well with some people, but it's true. You're welcome to tell me it's not true. Arkansas football is in its best position since 2012. You're welcome to push back. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't think I'm giving you an opinion. I think if you look at the numbers, the record that the current head coach has put together versus the 4 and 5 year periods prior to that, just tell me I'm wrong. I mean, look at it and tell me I'm getting it wrong. I think you have to make the point that the program's better off than it was before he got here.
Oh, no question about that.
But I don't think people talk like that.
You're wrong.
Yeah. And again, courtesy of Sunshine Radio 95.3 in the River Valley, 94.3 Harrison, 96.3. So be sure to tune in to Sunshine Radio tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be a delight listening then. But what we're going to do, we are going to take a quick commercial break. After the break, we'll just break down into it. Who's next? What type of coach is it going to take to really build this thing around? Adam, if you have any, people that are piquing your interest, comment section's blowing up right now. So keep them coming. We'll keep reading them during the break. We'll catch you in a few minutes. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South First Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and the supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need. Whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck, most of our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together.
Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than ATU Ozark Campus. As a 2-year satellite campus of Arkansas Tech University, we're dedicated to a quality workforce education, industry partnerships for in-demand jobs, and tailored paths for success. Our programs are led by industry professionals. Whether it's a certificate or you're aiming for a graduate degree, ATU Ozark has you covered. Visit our website at www.atu.edu/Ozark or contact us at 479-667-2117. Your future begins here. Welcome to Ozark Area Chamber of Commerce, where our mission is simple: encourage, promote, and aid an enduring environment of shared economic opportunity and civic development for the Ozark, Arkansas area. Whether you're a local business owner or a resident, we've got something for you. Shop our unique local businesses, explore the beauty of Ozark, and savor local flavors and find cozy accommodations. Join us in building a stronger community. And to learn more, contact us at 479-667-2525. Remember, together we thrive.
And welcome back to the Hog Talk Podcast, presented to you by FanDuel. And Arkansas opens up as a 20-point underdog to the bye week via FanDuel. So, I mean, we'll see how Bobby does against the bye week. But I really teased yesterday watching that performance. I said they really need to have a different meaning to bye week, as in a couple of people need to go by. It's one of the things I don't think – my biggest fear is with Hunter Yurchek going before the Board of Trustees, which I wish they would move that to this week. Make him go face the BOT after the Memphis loss and this. Explain yourself. You know, what's going on. I think it's very, very fitting he was able to, 2 weeks just sit there and, I backtracked and I meant this and I talked to the players. Well, apparently what you said to the players didn't work. That lasted, I mean, they did play a good series there to begin the second half, and then it quickly fell apart. But I know we've been hard. We've been honest, though, how we feel about, we know how important this football program is to the whole athletic department, and especially in the world of NIL. It sets the tone, people. Your football program sets the tone. You think about, look at the raffle. You know good and well if they had faith in Sam Pittman in this football program, that thing would be $200,000 every week to the winner. We know. We've seen it happen during the baseball. The opening was what, 190, 200,000. Let it build up, and then there's even the conspiracy theories with that we've had and shared. But you get this thing rolling to where you're going to have 72,000 strong every weekend. They're excited about it. They're seeing progress. They're seeing hope. Then you go directly into basketball season with Calipari. We don't know how many more years he's got left. Adam touched on that last week. He might be here another 3-4 years. Let's capitalize on this. Let's get this thing built up where your whole year. How many years does Dave Van Horn got at Arkansas in baseball? How much longer does this athletic department going to stay there? Because I don't care who your athletic director is. What's the baseball program going to be after Dave Van Horn bounces? Where's your basketball program going to be after Cal leaves? So we can praise the athletic director for his other programs that are doing so well, but they're established. They were established before he got here outside of Cal, and he had little to nothing to do with that. So you can say that, but Deifel at the softball, not his hire. You know, soccer, Colby Hale, not his hire. Track and field, no. Women's golf, no.
I mean, it's Eric Musselman.
Yeah.
He, brought us back in basketball. And like we've said before, I don't give 100-year check credit for John Calipari.
No.
That's Chicken Man. And Sam Pittman. I mean, and now, Music, we've still yet to see, but it's one of those.
What do you think about Houston Nutt, AD? Are you on that hype train, or where do you see that?
Houston Nutt is a fantastic ambassador and hype man for the University of Arkansas. I don't see him being an athletic director, but I mean, I honestly, I guess I haven't thought about it much, because you think back to a lot of the successful athletic directors, coaches beforehand, football coaches beforehand. Now, some of them went immediately into that AD position after they were done coaching. I'm not saying I would be against it, but it would have to be something to be stewed on, just because of this world that we're in now with college athletics. It's kind of like we're talking about the head coach, that now you're dealing with transfer portals, you're dealing with NIL, you're dealing with a whole new beast. And it has to be somebody just like a head coach that's willing to accept this.
Yeah.
Because we've seen what position we're in with an athletic director who didn't fully embrace NIL and didn't fully embrace the transfer portal. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that, the same thing like we've talked about before with Dabo Swinney and Clemson. When you don't embrace these things, like eventually it's going to catch up to you. So I think you've got to go get or find somebody that fits, that understands what is changing in college athletics.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we want to agree with it or not, the fact is the transfer portal and NIL and rev sharing, all this is here. It's not going anywhere. Now, will things tweak and will things change? And may there someday be a collective bargaining or a cap put on some of this stuff? Possibly. But the fact remains is right now, it's not there. There's no cap. It's the Wild West. So if you don't have somebody that can come in and embrace that and understand it and come up with other ways to generate money, you've already been shown what an athletic director who can't fundraise does. And that's what we're seeing right now. I get it that some athletic directors didn't sign up to be, fundraisers, but the job changed. So either you need to change and adapt, or you need to find something else to do. So you've got to find somebody that is willing to do those things.
Yeah. And here's Signetti. He just signed a 8-year contract to November 24 through the 2032 season.
$9 million.
$9 million a year. So that's out the window. That is a Gus Malzahn sized buyout. So, but that's where I'm kind of with the whole Houston Nutt being the AD, because that's an admin situation. If he embraces the NIL, then yes, I think that would be a good, because look what Frank Broyles did. He loved the university. That was his job. I mean, he was a politician, when it comes to, and when I say politician, he'd go meet the people. You rub the elbows. You need people who would connect with the fans and connect with the boosters. I think he would be a perfect fit if he embraces NIL and he knows how things are going to go. That's what you need. But it would take somebody like him. But you're talking about head coach. You need somebody like a Signetti who diamond in the rough. You come in and no nonsense. I would love to have Dan Lanning. I know that type of coach. You need to, he pulled him from Georgia. You find somebody with a chip on their shoulder that feels like they deserve to be a head coach somewhere and can find coordinators to come with him, and you build a team. I know a lot of heat about, Dabo Sweeney with the NIL, but dude wasn't the same since, when he lost Venables. When he lost his defensive coordinator, you don't have the elite defense that you used to. You lost Tony Elliott to Virginia. You don't have the offensive, you don't have that functionality that you used to. And he thought he was above everybody. He thought he could do it himself. Pretty much Dabo Sweeney is an Ed Ogeron with one more championship, because Ed O and LSU went all in to win a national championship with those NFL coordinators, and you see what happened. So you get somebody to come in, change this program, but the way it's going, you keep the current athletic director you got right now, you could throw sugar on a turd and call it a brownie. You're going to get the same results, in my opinion.
No, I'm just looking through, kind of back to the head coach. Some of these lists that I see coming out, these are from your national folks. So I'm looking at one right now. It's from our friends over at Saturday Down South, who are, we all know, like next in line for clickbait. But running through this list, it was quickly thrown together, I feel like. So kind of like I brought up, Alex Golish, they have number one, the USF's head coach. And again, grasping at the short time he's had at USF, and then his wife being from Arkansas and stuff like that. I'm just kind of like, we kind of have to throw those things out. One that I haven't seen as much, and I thought I would, is John Summerall, Tulane's coach.
Yeah.
Ryan Silverfield, Memphis's coach. And we've already brought him up once the show, GJ Kinney from Texas State. And this goes back to circling the wagon, like we've talked about Arkansas doing. And they've got Jeff Traylor on the list. And I'm surprised we haven't seen, and maybe I've missed it, I don't know. I'm honestly surprised I haven't seen many Barry Lenny fans coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just in the mindset. I'm in the boat of finding somebody that hasn't been here before. That,
and also up to the challenge of really building, like, look, and here's what and this will be, I know we'll have, I think this will be a half and 50-50 take. It's not a hot take. But to me, it's hard to sit there and for people to say, Sam Pittman left this in a better place than Chad Morris did. No, you're in the same spot. You got walked off the field and then walked out to another job or to Lake Hamilton or wherever. You got beat 56-13. Like, your offense couldn't even score on their JV squad. You did not leave this in a better spot because you got fired in September. You didn't even make it to the bye week. Or you made it to the technically bye week. But no, I will die on the hill. You did not leave this program in a better spot. Yes, you had your 9-win, you got your bowling ball and all that, but to honestly sit there and say you left it, as in right now, we're the state of this program, you're 2-3 right now, and you're projected to lose the rest of your games. So if you do finish 2-10, now you've left this program in the same spot. I don't care if they win 3 or 4 games. You could sit there, well, he had 2 more wins, or this team had 2 more wins. You're still in the same spot that you were when you came here. And that's all I'll say on it.
Seen in the comments here a couple times about Joe Brady. I just go back to it's not an established coach.
Yep.
I mean, we're back into a position that you have somebody with no proven track record. I don't see it happening. And there was one that actually I saw it in the comments, and I had a text and some message earlier today, and somebody brought up, he's like, why don't we take a shot at Cliff Kingsbury? Somebody he's done both.
Yeah.
But then I kind of look at it. I mean, he's in Washington Commanders OC right now. It's one of those things that has his ship sailed. And I'm not going to say in the coaching world, because obviously he's still, doing something. But some of these guys, it's one of those, I think some coaches, after they've been in college and go to pro, or vice versa, or pro go to sometimes they see that the grass isn't greener, so they stay. It's like, hey, I don't want to go back to college and deal with all that.
Yeah.
So
I get it. Yeah. And
I think if Kingsbury was going to come back to college, he already would have.
Yeah, that's true. Right here, I care more right now about the next AD rather than I'm with you, honestly, because I'm in the spot. If you keep the current AD, it don't matter who you get as your head coach. And this is a spot where it's very important because you can look at Lincoln Riley. I mean, had it made it OU and he bounces because OU was going to go to the SEC and he goes out to USC. They're not faring he's not doing any better. And you have a better talent pool at USC and Oklahoma, and he's not really lived up to those expectations. But it's going to be somebody, and the way Arkansas hirings have went, and this is what we've learned from a lot of people until we're proven differently. The first three names you hear, go ahead and wad them up, throw them in the trash, because that's not going to be who it is. It's going to be some up-and-comer. It's going to be somebody out of left field, unless, again, they do something to totally prove us wrong, or they stick with Bobby Petrino, which I hope they don't do it, because I'll be very disappointed if both of them are still here next year. I will.
We'll comment here. How much of this is Sam Pittman's fault, and how much of this falls on Hunter Yurchek? Do we believe Pitman was given all the resources? We've talked about it. It's equally on both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, a lot of us are in agreement that both of them need to go. We've been pretty hard on Hunter Yurchek the last few months, you and I. And it stems for more than just the football program. It comes down with the Edge. It comes down with when we make some of these posts, like him and Edge are known to do, that their timing is terrible. Also, interviewing at other jobs, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. The thing, like we talked about, that he doesn't have the fans' best interest, whether it's the reseating Bud Walton Arena for premium seats, not adding seats to Baum Walker. I mean, there's a number of things. It's one of those, it falls on both of them. And no, I wholeheartedly believe that Sam Pittman was not given all of the resources that he needed. With that is because there has been all this talk behind the scenes that the next coach that comes in, you're going to have people donating. You're going to have more donors. You're going to have more NIL. They're just waiting for this coach to be gone. And so now, and there was another comment earlier, so now that this coach is gone, bring in somebody else. Let's see if people are going to put their money where the mouth is.
Yeah.
And step up. But no, I do not believe that Sam Pittman was given the full resources. But, and that solely comes to NIL. That's 100%, in my opinion, what he was not given.
But you still develop.
Mm-hmm.
And it on the personal side of it, a friend on Facebook, he was talking about, Pittman and shouldn't have fired him. And I pretty much told him, I was like, all right, you hire me to do a job. You had a tow truck company. You hire me to run your tow truck and you pay me $70,000 a year. And in year 6, you come up to me and I'm sitting on the side of the road and you ask me why I haven't done said job yet. And I say, I don't know. I don't know. I would be fired on the spot. I mean, a year in, if you don't know your job, if you don't know the answers, find a way to word it, to figure it out. But again, it was just the nonchalant and monotone after every win loss. He lost his passion. So no, you can't put all of it on Sam Pittman. I mean, that's what kind of makes it rough. But again, we have to sit there and take the emotions out of it when it comes to what's the best interest for your football program and your athletic program moving forward. Adam, we said I think this should have happened last year. And if you're doing it in September, maybe you should have. I don't understand why he got the chance, because you put all your eggs in the basket of one half of this football team. You put all your eggs in the basket of, because we have Bobby Petrino and we have Taylor Green as our quarterback, we are going to be so much better. With a tougher schedule, you had no idea who was going to be on your defense. You had no idea who you're going to throw the ball to. And you didn't know who was going to be your good running back. I mean, you've had a decent offense, but let's not act like Taylor Green's a Heisman Trophy quarterback. He struggled a lot, and we overlooked that because that was the bright spot that was holding this team together. There was so many throws yesterday at the feet, overthrown, the interceptions, and I believe one of them was one of the throws. I don't know if it was not an interception at the feet. It was because of pressure, but for the most part, he just lobbed it up there. I mean, he given up. And if you're wanting to be a high-powered offense, you want to be a leader of the team, you've got to nut up and carry the team. And we've said that, especially in the game where you knew your back was in the corner, you knew what was at stake. So for those that are saying all these players are going to leave because they quit on him before the game was over, because they had their chance to sit there and they could have hung with Notre Dame, but they gave up. You let go of the rope, the balloon popped, and you got the defense that you got, it was over.
So we'll see. Everybody needs to remember too. I personally don't think that we're going to know anything before December. So there's going to be a long several months that we've got going here.
Yeah.
And so, there's going to be a lot of talk. There's going to be a lot of conversation on who should, but a lot of it, we've been saying that, whenever this did happen, if it was this week, because a lot of us did talk about that it would be this week because of the timing of the bye week. This is essentially Bobby Petrino's interview, the next 7 games, whatever. But again, I'm not in the boat to keep Coach Petrino as a head coach afterwards. I'm just in the clean house, new faces, new regime, new everything. I just think we need something fresh. I think, if you're not going to get an established coach, then I think you've got to go after a younger coach. And it's got to be, I feel like, a splash to salvage whatever you can salvage. We saw what Kentucky did. Mark Stoops looked great for a couple of years, and they've, fallen tremendously. And it's something that's basically the going rate these days. Yep. I don't want to be good or okay for 2 to 3 years. I don't want to be back in the same boat in 2 to 3 years calling for, the next head coach or whatever, whoever's coming in. So and Trey Biddy made a tweet earlier today. That's, something to think about for the rest of the season too, especially for the next month, is now that there's been a head coaching change, the transfer portal is open for the players on this team. So that's something to think about too, is who on this team is going to just say, okay, I'm done. And that doesn't mean that they're necessarily true Sam Pittman guys. That could just be players that see the writing on the wall and are just going to get out before this thing goes potentially further south. Who really knows? But that's something to think about for the next month. Is there are going to be players that are going to be eligible that they can enter the portal if they want for the next 30 days.
And if they specifically, that said player hadn't played in 4 games, they can use a red shirt. So, but I know it's been circulated, but for those who don't know, the players that enter the transfer portal or leave in this transfer window, they can't go somewhere else and play this year. This is strictly so that's the thing. If you want to go, it's almost, who was it? Was it Burks or somebody a couple years back that left into the transfer? Not Burks. Who was it?
Braylon Russell.
No, the running back.
Braylon Russell. DeBinion.
No, I'm talking. Goodness gracious! Before him, Boyd.
Oh, Rakeem.
I was saying Rakeem Boyd. I mean, but it was that kind of situation, that you left knowing you couldn't go anywhere and play, and you just thought you were going to get picked up, and you've seen how that played out. That was the situation. But yeah, I mean, Braylon Russell was another one. We'll see what happens with that situation. But, we got to be careful words. But, it's one of the things that recruiting is different now. So it's hard to say how you gauge a coach on recruiting now when the portal is more important and NIL is more important, because you can recruit the best, but somebody else comes in and throws them money and they're not getting enough playing time. That has nothing to do with recruiting, because they're just not, their personal decision is to go somewhere else.
So it'll be, I don't think we're not going to hear much for the next, week or so. Hunter Yurchek and Bobby
We will
Venturino
hear tomorrow.
Tomorrow they'll have their press
conference tomorrow.
And after that, well, it's going to be where mom's going to be the word for a little bit. It's just going to kind of be quiet.
Oh, but Adam will be back at 8:05 with Hog HQ. So take an intermission break. We'll be back at 8:05 with Matt, DP, and Adam for Hog HQ Live. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Hog Talk podcast. All of our sponsors, listeners, presented to you by FanDuel, and we will catch you on Thursday.